Newsweek magazine is calling Mitt Romney a wimp on the cover. The WIMP factor is the cover title. Asks if he's too insecure to be president. The article was written by Michael Tomasky, and he's a special correspondent for Newsweek and the Daily Beast. He's also the editor of Democracy, a journal of ideas, which is a progressive quarterly publication. Nice to see you. Thanks for talking with us. Certainly appreciate it. What's your definition of a wimp?
Well, as the second instructive word on the cover says, somebody who's insecure in the positions he takes, in the way he presents himself as a candidate. And I see this up and down. I saw it this weekend, actually. You know, on the surface, the speech in Israel sounded like a real tough speech, and the headlines say tough talk and so on and so on. You just said it yourself. But what this speech actually was him pandering to the right-wing base in America and in Israel and just saying every word that would absolutely please them and not a single syllable that would displease them. And that's what he does up and down on every major issue. You know, we remember all of his flip-flops, half a dozen on you know, the most important issues of our time. He's completely reversed position. What sort of person is that?
So you think the flip-flopping is sort of what defines somebody as a wimp. I want to read a little bit, from your article. You say, the episode highlights what's really wrong with Romney. He's kind of lame. He's really annoying. He keeps saying these things, these incredibly off-key things, and he apologizes immediately with all the sincerity of a hostage. Or maybe he doesn't. Sometimes he whines about the subsequent attacks on him. But one thing he never does, man up, double down, take his lumps. That's from the article. What your assessment doesn't focus on is, I guess, for a voter or a potential voter who'd be reading it, is not really about the policy, not really how he was wimpy, if you think, in his political stance in Massachusetts or in fighting to get health care in that state, or wimpy in his business at Bain. Do you think you create a strong argument for the wimp factor as opposed to a personal attack framed around the wimp factor?
There are some personal quirks that he has that, you know, are highlighted in that paragraph you read, but farther down in the article, and the heart of the piece, and I say this in the piece, the heart of the piece centers on the positions that he takes, the way that he has pandered so consistently on important issues, issues on which we'd like to see our politicians have some kind of consistency, some kind of backbone. He's repeatedly just changed positions completely and pandered totally to the right wing. When Rush Limbaugh says jump, he says how high. You know, I think it's a fair question to ask, is this the kind of person that we want to see in the White House?
He said this when he was asked what was his reaction to your story. He said this. I want to play a little bit.
If I worried about what the media said, I wouldn't get much sleep, and I'm able to sleep pretty well.
Meaning he doesn't care about it at all. Do you think that he should worry about it? I mean, do you think when it comes to the election that this is going to potentially have play a big role, potentially be a factor?
You know, I'd like to say yes. I don't know. I can't control those things. You know, the Obama campaign, as we know, is not really highlighting anything like this. You know, they're not really making his flip-flops, his character, an issue. They're talking about Bain and his financial history and so on. But they're not really making this aspect of his character an issue, which I think is probably a little bit of a mistake, and I think could persuade swing voters that there's not that much to this guy. So I don't know about the impact, honestly.
1987, there was a sort of a similar cover story. It was written by Margaret Warner, and she described President Bush trying to fight, it was called, I think, fighting the wimp factor. And here's what Robert O'Brien said. He's a Romney campaign advisor. He said, Newsweek was beyond silly when it called former World War II naval aviator and savvy Texas oilman George H.W. Bush a wimp on his cover in '87. Magazine returns to its same failed playbook now with its cover on Governor Romney. The fact is, Mitt Romney is a steely-nerved businessman who's turned around failed companies, the corruption-plagued 2002 Olympic Winter Games, and an almost bankrupt Massachusetts, essentially saying, you know, not only do you have it wrong, you have it completely wrong, and you're picking some examples of wimpiness that they would take a tremendous exception to.
Well, you know, of course they're going to, but, you know, first of all, I did say in the article that George H.W. Bush was a war hero, and that Newsweek was probably wrong in 1987. Mitt Romney, first of all, he's no war hero. He sat out the Vietnam War in France. He got student deferments, for those who are interested in that sort of thing. Okay, a steely-minded businessman, well, yeah, he's saved some companies. Bain has also not saved some companies, as we know very well. Look, I want to return to the main point. He is wishy-washy on most of the most important issues of the day, on pro-life versus pro-choice, on immigration. He used to support a path to amnesty.
Yeah, but politicians, as you and I both know, right? I mean, if we had $1 for every politician who's changed their position on an issue, we could just go ahead and both retire from our jobs and
yeah,
you know.
one or two issues, sure. One or two issues. Not 6, not 7, not the most important issues, not every single one of the most important issues of our time.
We are out of time. Thanks for talking with us, Michael Tomasky. The article is called, let's throw up the cover story. It's from Newsweek, which is the WIMP factor, and asking the question, is Mitt Romney a wimp? We appreciate you being with us.